As we look at diets, we have to talk about the yin-yang. The yin-yang is a diet that we are told is composed of 4 yin and 1 yang, or 4 alkali and 1 acid. We find the other diet, which is the Ayurvedic. They too recommend rice, and they also recommend clarified butter, which is another substance that is acid. We find now the microbiotic. I remember when the diet first came out, I was very enthused to see what it was that they could possibly have within their structure. And when my friend came back and told me that the primary substance that was consumed in the microbiotic diet was rice, then naturally it was open for question. When we talk about a diet and we include rice, then we are seeing an acid substance. The African biomineral balance, which came to complement the African genetical structure, not only does it complement the African genetical structure, but it complements every gene on the planet, because it is the only diet that has been put together without the presence of lactic, carbonic, or uric acid. These acids are responsible for the amount of deterioration that occurs in the body. These 3 acids causes what is known as uncontrolled mitosis. So when we ingest foods that contain these acids, naturally, we are running into trouble. This is why we had to create the African biomineral balance. The African biomineral balance is known as natural vegetation cell food.
So your premise is that there is definitely a relationship between geography, genetics, and food.
Of course. If we take a look at nature, we will find that the polar bear was given his food and was given the environment that is consistent with him. It is always cold, but he's given a coat to absorb that cold and to live in harmony with it. And he's given the seal and the rest of the fish. We find the gorilla. He lives and eats bamboo shoots and berries, and where he lives isn't white with snow. It is green. There is a connection with diet, geography, environment. Of course, there is a very close connection. But this connection was not really identified with prior healers. You see, to heal, you have to put into motion everything that makes up this whole cosmic arrangement. If one component or one area is omitted, then naturally you will run into some trouble later on. Because the reason for this is that life creates and protects and sustains life. If you operate outside of life vernacular, then naturally common sense tells us that we are operating outside of life vernacular. Then what vernacular are we operating in? The vernacular or the environment of death. Sure, there is a direct link with environment, food, and genetics. There has to be.
Is it because of this premise of genetics that you have created the African biomineral balance? And if so, could you explain what's the difference between the African biomineral balance diet and the other health diets on the health market?
Well, in my previous statement, I said that the difference is that I mentioned one of the difference. Like, for instance, we talk about the rice, and we talk about the soybean, which are acids, which are part of the microbiotic. We talk about the yin-yang. The yin-yang also shows us rice, and the Ayurvedic and the allopathic. So we show that that portion of it, but the other side of it is that the African biomineral balance was constructed using substance that came from the environment, the same environment that the black man was placed in by creator and creation, which is the tropics, the rainforest. Naturally, the substance would necessarily have to come from the same environment from whence he came, so that it would have the same electrical value. So we constructed it by creating these compounds, such as the Maya, as known today. We have the lympholin, and we have the nervino, and many other products. But they were constructed, or the compounds were made of herbs that came from the tropics that are very high in alkalinity. We find such herbs as the cocolmeca. We find herbs, the corazon de Jesus, which is very, very high in food. So right there, we are not following the same premise as other herbalists. Why? Because they use comfrey, they use peppermint, they use foxglove, and all these are hybrid herbs, which are incomplete molecular structure. An incomplete molecular structure is something that was created through hybriding. Hybriding means that you're going to create something that was not created by Mother Nature, and that you want to fit that within this cosmic procession. No. If it was not created by Mother Nature, then this substance should not be included in this whole procession, because it would cause an imbalance. And as we look closely at hybrid foods, we find that everything that is hybrid needs a binder, and the binder is always a chemical. So therefore, we find something that would never assimilate with you. You see, we come into the process of assimilation now. We left the African biomineral balance encompassing all of the elements. Naturally, we have to talk about everything, because everything is interrelated and everything complements. So we find now that in arranging the diet, we have to consider everything that could be of usefulness, and we have to know of everything that was not of usefulness, like the usage of comfrey. Comfrey contains starch. Starch is carbonic acid, but you find that many people who call themselves dietitian or herbalists, from a natural perspective, they use comfrey. They also use, well, like I said, foxglove, which is a very poisonous plant because it is a hybrid plant. According to nutrition, in reference to nutrition, we have to now use substance that everybody eats, but we have to select from that group of foods that we call foods, the green leafy vegetation that would do the least amount of harm to the individual, because we know that the compounds that was constructed using the earth from the tropics would deliver the kind of nutrients and energy that the body really needs. And these other things that we recommend, such as the broccoli and the lettuce or spinach, you know, we also recommend the quinoa. These things are merely to satisfy those 400 years of conditioning, because we are people that like to eat now. But we are faced now with a catch-22, as we call it, that if we want to eat the food that we like, we're going to get sick. And if we want to eat the food that we should eat, we're going to be angry. So there is a process now of weaning from that particular diet that hurts the body. So we move you gradually away to the state of not eating. And it's not difficult. Don't even be surprised that such statement is made. It is possible. But before then, we have to gradually remove you. But first, we remove you from all of the meats because of the high cholesterol. And we all know that. the American Medical Association is telling us about the things that are harmful to our health, and that there are so many diet-related diseases that has been cropping up over a period of time. So we allow you to eat substance on the market that would not harm you as much as others. One that the African American should not consider at any time is carrots, because it too contains a high level of starch. And because our genetic structure is so high in carbon, we are very sensitive people. So whatever there is that is inconsistent with us, it would have an adverse effect on us immediately. And substance like starch has played not too much of a very well gift, or it didn't play a good role in our daily life. And I could talk about starch because I was born, as you know, in Central America, in Honduras, and I watched my aunt, my grandmother, my mother, my parents eat a lot of starch. And there is a tribe of people that I notice, that I know, the Garifunas, and they too eat a lot of starch. But then I look at the various diseases that they are beset with. There are high incidence of diabetes. I just recently left Honduras, and I remember a friend of mine by the name of Juan Gomez. We were on the ships together when I was a merchant seaman, and we talk of many things, and lo and behold, I had not seen this man in 20-some odd years, and I saw him in Honduras in a little village by the name of Santa Rosa de Aguan. And he was always touching his eye. He was wiping his eye. And I saw his big stomach, his belly, and then I also noticed the way he walked. And I was very hurt because Juan and I are the same age. So I know what starch has done to the black race, to the African genetic structure.